Hello everybody, it is Zen, and today I'm going to be reviewing another book by Patrick Rothfuss. You may have heard of it. It's called the Name of the Wind sequel, The Wise Man's Fear. Yep, it's the second book in the Kingkiller trilogy, which the third book has not been released. So I am now joined by people who are waiting, so that's great. But this is the last book that we have gotten so far in the Kingkiller trilogy, so therefore it's probably going to be good. It better be good because I've been waiting 10 years. People have been waiting 10 years for this book, and we're going to wait probably like another 10 because there's no sign of this book coming forward. So we're just going to keep going on with this. I have a couple other books that I'm going to be reviewing very, very soon. I've had a major long time without uploading anything. If you look on my Goodreads page, you can see that I've rated this book a 4 out of 5 as opposed to the 5 out of 5 that I gave Name of the Wind. You might be wondering why that is, and there is a very solid explanation for that I think that this book really lacked, which is why I gave it the score. Now I am going to be comparing this to the Name of the Wind, so this will help. This review will help you a lot if you have read Name of the Wind, so you'll understand why I'm praising all these things and why I'm not praising some of the other things, and how I can compare to this. There will be no spoilers for either of the books though, so don't worry about that, other than Quoth lives, so that's true. So to begin with the good, this book has a lot of the stuff that Name of the Wind has. It has the great character of Quoth, who some people call Mary Sue, but you know, I like that about him. He seems like a Mary Sue, and I love having fun with that kind of a character. You don't often have a Mary Sue that you can really have fun with. So that's what we got here. It's a great character that we can really find is interesting, despite the fact that it is a Mary Sue. The same plot elements as before come back to us. We get the really impoverished boy, and we get the struggles against all of the people against him, and there's a whole mass of people against him. It's really interesting how we go back towards those same plot points, just met in a different way, where the entire world is against this kid, but this kid is fighting back strong. And so that part, again, is awesome. I love that that still exists in this book. I love that it's still here, and that's one of my favorite parts about the book. So we've got the main elements of the original book that we still have in this book, so it's pretty similar, honestly, but there are a couple of key differences. For example, this book is about 400 or 300 pages longer than the other one, so of course that is going to cause a lot of questions, such as, why is this book so much longer? Does it have the same amount of action as the first one? And my answer to that quick one is that I don't really think it has the same amount of action. It has very different plot elements. While the original one was really focused on a lot more of action stuff, a lot more of this kid rising up in the world first, trying to get his holding on who he is, on his position in the university, stuff like that. So while this book goes a completely different route, this is the book where we really see him climb from that kid who we see is capable of a lot to a person that is really doing a lot. We see this kid rise from, you know, whatever he is at the beginning, a strong, smart kid, but we finally end off with him being, this isn't a spoiler, you'll read this in the back, it's really nothing much, it's very vague, but you know, he gets all the way up to becoming the beginning of what we see in the structural integrity of the story. The same beautiful writing is back in this. I gotta tell you guys, one of my favorite things, like scratch all the other things. I said all those other things were my favorite things, but I totally lied. The writing is my favorite part. I had just finished up a different book. It was The Way of Kings when I began this. In The Way of Kings, don't get me wrong, it was a wonderful book. I really enjoyed it. But the problem with The Way of Kings is that the writing itself is not what I love. The writing is too simple for me. I want to see a beautiful flowery writing. That's what I want in a book. That's what I really crave. And so when I read The Way of Kings, I felt empty in that way. It was a great story, but I didn't feel like it was told to me very well. But this book, oh my god, just reading this book right after that, it was so beautiful. It felt like coming back home. I almost never read two big fantasy books next to each other, but this was one exception because I wanted to hurry up and get done with the series. So I went ahead and did that, but this book really intimidated me when I started. I really didn't want to read it because I saw it. I'm like, this is another 1,000-page book. Do I really want to start a second 1,000-page book and not feel that much progress once again? But as soon as I began it, I loved it. I was going through it so fast, 50 pages a day, which I know is not a lot for a lot of people, but for me, it's difficult for me to keep up that 50 pages a day minimum quota. And so, because of that, this book really pushed me. I was getting through 50 pages easily. I didn't have to stay up every night. And if I did stay up every night, I enjoyed staying up every night. It was wonderful. Really beautiful writing, and I love that part of the book. That's easily my favorite part of the book. Title, once again, just as beautiful as before. It's an integral part of the story. And if you look at what the Wise Man's Fear actually is, if you read the back or if you know the other stuff, I'm not gonna spoil too much, but it is very true. This is a very good title for this book. I really appreciate it, because once you think about it a little bit, you begin to realize that this is a really smart title, but before you think about it, you don't understand why. So, it's really easy to piece it together, but once you do piece it together, it's really wonderful. I did want to go ahead and talk about the reviews on the back, because this is something interesting I found about the story. The reviews on the back are given by really cool people like Brandon Sanderson and George R.R. Martin, and I think that every single review written on the back has something inaccurate about it that I completely disagree with, and so I just want to go through them very quickly and talk about why they're wrong. Brandon Sanderson states that The Wise Man's Fear is a beautiful book to read, masterful prose, a sense of cohesion to the storytelling, a wonderful sense of pacing. There's a beauty to Pat's writing that defies description. Sure, I don't agree with pacing. The pacing really lacked in this book, so that's the problem. Description of the writing, absolutely I agree with that. I don't know why this book is so beautifully written. I tried to understand it, I was reading it, and it doesn't make any sense to me, because this book is so beautiful and fun, but it doesn't, I don't know why, it doesn't make sense. Just, it was so easy for me to identify that it was beautiful. Why is it beautiful? So, yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point Brandon made, but I don't agree with the pacing. George R.R. Martin writes, "The best epic fantasy I read last year. He's bloody good, this Rops guy." This is an epic fantasy, apparently. People call this an epic fantasy. That's a very big conception that I hear of. I believe it's a misconception. This does not feel epic to me in any way at all. This is not an epic book. An epic book, in my opinion, or through a lot of definitions, is a world-changing story. An epic is a grandiose, massive story that just changes the world. And this kid, in small ways, everything changes the world, obviously. But that's kind of the thing in here. This kid kind of changes the world, but he is not Gandalf. He is not Bilbo or Frodo with the ring. He is not Vin, He is not Roland. He's not Rand Althor. He's none of these people. He is a guy who shows up and he does his work, but generally what he changes sticks to his persona. Things that he changes are just surrounding him. And so I wouldn't call it an epic fantasy. I think this is a big thing. It might kind of feel like an epic fantasy, but anyone that really wants an epic fantasy might not love this book, because this is not an epic fantasy in my opinion. And there's one more by the Library Journal, which is a starred review, saying reminiscent in scope of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, and blah 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 blah, whatever. It talks about it being a grand scale. It's not a grand scale. It's really not. It's not even close to Wheel of Time. I haven't read Wheel of Time, but can you see that stack up here? These two book stacks? That's Wheel of Time. It is not reminiscent in scope to Wheel of Time. Are you crazy? Look, there's no way. This is a really short book compared to this is probably the size of one of these longer books, okay? And this is the second book in the series. There's no way it's reminiscent of scope, okay? So this is definitely not true. I don't agree with that at all. It feels a little bit like that. Like I would assume it feels like in Wheel of Time, but it's absolutely, there's no chance it's that way. It's not epic, it's not giant in scope, it's a fairly large scope as we learn in this book, but it's not that big. There's no way. So I've gone over the main stuff, but I do want to go over why I dropped that 1 star, which is the bad. And I really want to go over some of the bad stuff. Originally, I want to talk about the pacing, and then I want to talk about some big part of the story nearing the end. That will not be a spoiler, but I will go into a small spoiler section where I will expand on this stuff. If you have read the book and you want to understand why, what I'm talking about specifically, that might be where you want to go, but you guys don't really need to. So first of all, the pacing. Alright, so the pacing is generally really good. I'm telling you, it is generally decent. In the first book, it was wonderful, masterful, beautiful. In this book, it slows down a lot. The first half of this book is brilliant. I loved it. It's so fast. It's fast-paced. Nothing really happens, which is kind of weird, but so much small stuff happens that we kind of feel really, enjoying going through it. It's just great. But when we near the second half, we begin to slow down by a lot. Stuff goes down that is really, really slow-paced, and we really feel like nothing is going on. It's very odd, because just as much small stuff is going on, in my opinion, but it feels so much slower. And I don't know why that is, but it really does. A lot of stuff is disconnected from the main plot, which we've partway through this book to the beginning of the other book. We've been working for a main storyline, and then we kind of move off of it in this book. And because of that, I feel like these small steps kind of change. We take a big step, and on that big step, we take small steps. And at that point, I'm kind of feeling like, it doesn't really feel like much is going on, because we've moved to a completely new area, and not big stuff is going on anymore. And then, by the end, something goes back to normal, and then we feel like we've been left without much actually happened. Not much has actually happened. So that kind of sucks. But it is a fairly decently paced book as usual, but it is really slow towards the ending. Now that's my pacing, but I really want to go and stress this last issue, which might seem like such a trivial, small thing to most people, but in my opinion, it broke my reading experience. If this hadn't happened, I would have given it a 5, because I remember getting to this point in the book, and I feel like this is missing. This is broken. I wish this was fixed. And I remember just not being able to enjoy the story, being tired of the story, because it was pulling me along this area that I could not stand. And it's such a small thing, but it just grew into something too big that I just couldn't stand it. So that's my problem with this, and I'm going to talk specifically in a second. About halfway through the book, or closer to maybe 2/3 of the book, we are sent off on a quest. Now this person sends us off on this quest. I will be as vague as possible, but I will explain in the spoiler section. So we're sent off on this quest with Kvothe and some other people. Now, when we complete the quest, it's a very difficult quest, and we do not think that the people who sent him on this quest think that he can actually complete the quest. And so when he completes this quest, we return, and the problem is, that doesn't happen. For me, the tension of that is not from whether or not he can complete it, because that happened already, that's finished. The tension now is the original guy did not believe he could complete the quest, and so now I'm thinking, I really want Kvothe to step up to that guy and be like, boy, look at me, I'm powerful, look at how important I am. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see the look on his face when he saw Kvothe stepping up to him, bringing him all that stuff, you know what I mean? I would have loved that. That would have been exactly what I wanted. But what happened was that instead of returning all the way back to the guy who sent him on the quest, we drop off on a side quest. The side quest is extremely integral to the entire series, so I don't blame them for stepping off like that, but it ruined the tension that was building, because we have this strong tension, like, we're gonna show him, it's gonna be great, and then we step off on 200 pages of a side quest that really should not have been this long. In my opinion, what that side quest felt like was like a 50-page side quest. And if that had happened, I still would have been upset, because you have broken the tension that should have been rising. You have broken it and said that, don't worry about that anymore. We'll get back to that. And to me, it feels like the author doesn't realize that there is a tension here. This is a tension. We're sent off on the side quest. That's really boring, honestly. It might not have been boring if we had completed that tension and then returned to that side quest. That might have made it interesting. But at this point, I didn't care about that. I was like, dude, you need to get out quick so that I can see his reaction. Didn't work. It took us way too long to get out of there. And as soon as we were out, I'm like, okay, all right, good. We can go on. We can show that guy who's boss. We could do it. But then
another one.
Bigger side quest, rest of the book kind of side quest, like really big side quest, and then we step off for another 200 pages, probably 300 pages at that point. We're just sent off, and now this tension's just gone. Now I'm just so tired because I've been waiting for this tension to be resolved, and we're just sent off. So that's really, really upsetting to me. And the second side quest was a lot more fun because I believe the tension was already broken by that point, but I was really upset with the tension. The side quests aren't, I don't know if they're really bad, but I didn't feel that they were fun for me because of the tension. And so when we finally return, at the end, we lose all that tension that we had been building up because the news had already reached the person who had assigned them on the quest. And it's really upsetting for me. I really wanted to see that. And I think a lot of people really would have wanted to see that. That one bit of tension that hasn't been resolved, I feel like that could have been, that's the thing that broke my experience for this reading of a novel. Now, I'm not saying this is an easy thing to fix. I thought about it quite a bit, and I thought maybe if you put the side quests after you had resolved the tension, maybe that would have worked out. But just thinking about it, I'm not sure if that is the best option because it seems like something that's extremely difficult to do. And, I understand. But Rothfuss has been working on this book for like 4 years, and I believe he's been going through everything, and this would have been just one thing that he might have been able to complete. And I would have loved it if he had done that. That would have been incredible. So that's basically my entire thing of why I didn't like this book, why I've dropped that 1 star. Because now it is a 4-star book. I absolutely enjoyed the entirety of the story so far, but a bunch of side quests that I couldn't stand just because of the tension that was supposed to be wrapping the entire thing together falling apart because we've been taking so long to resolve it. And that really upset me. But overall, we've been going through some really fun stuff, and I'm very happy about it so far. I will be dropping that 1 star though. So basically, that is my review, non-spoiler review. I'm going to go ahead into a little bit more spoiler later on. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button down below and subscribe. I see I hit 80 subscribers. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who watch this video. I'm very thankful to all of you. And if you want to recommend me any fantasy books, go ahead right there in the comment section. I would love to read any of your recommendations. I thank you guys so much for subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. But guess what? There are spoilers. Spoiler section. Spoiler section. Okay, so in this book, you do know that basically, the tension I'm talking about is about the king, Mayor, who sent them off on the quest to go stop the bandits. Okay, cool. Mayor's just sent them off, and then Kvothe realizes, okay, he didn't actually expect me to win this, but then he's coming back. He's like, yes. I was just feeling like, yes, we're gonna show that man who's boss. We're gonna show Mayor. We're gonna show him how powerful Kvothe is. We're gonna show him how great it is. Why he shouldn't just brush him off. And then we leave to, what's her name? L'Oreal? I don't know. That one lady who traps him. And it's just so weak because I don't care about that much. Some important stuff goes down, but like some really important stuff goes down. But I didn't care because I wanted to go back to Mayor. I really wanted to go there. Like, you should have resolved that before, you know what I mean? We could have just gone there after. Maybe, I don't know if that works. But that really upset me. And then after that got really tiring for me because I was waiting for the sequence to end so I could return to that. I waited like 200 pages for that. That was really annoying. But then we return, and we're like, okay, we gotta go on to the, what is it, Amar or something? To the Adem people, I believe. I don't know. You have to go off to the other people. And we do that side quest, which is a lot more fun. I enjoyed that quite a bit. But there was a trope in that where the lady who was supposed to be teaching him, there was that trope, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be really tough to you to see if you're actually like worthy of my training, you know? Like, that's really annoying. I've seen that too many times. So that completes, then he goes home, and the tension is supposed to be resolved there. The tension I wanted, but it's not because it's worn out, first of all, and then they already know, I believe. And so that's just worn out, and then that's what really upset me. So that's basically my story. So I really, that part was really ew, but the rest of it's fine. But that is my spoiler take on the matter, and I thank you guys for watching this far. If you have, leave a like if you understand my opinion. If you want to talk about my opinion, go ahead, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinions of it. And this video is getting way too long. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.